So now I'd like to introduce Gayle Hartz from the Legal Project. Gayle is going to talk a little bit about the Legal Project, who they are, what they do, but also a little bit about the New York State foreclosure process, since that's something that obviously we're focusing on today and a lot of people are facing, and it's not really a simple topic to understand. So we'll be delving into that a bit. All right. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I have to say that I'm very happy to be here and honored to be able to participate in this event. I think I've learned a lot, as I'm sure everybody else has, about the various services that are offered to our homeowners and tenants in our communities, and we all know how important that is to maintain home ownership and stability in housing for the good of the whole community. A little bit about my agency. I work for the Legal Project, and we're a not-for-profit corporation, and we provide several different programs that we offer, again, legal services at no cost to those who are eligible for our services. So we have, I have brochures with me, and I believe they're going to put one on the site that just gives a general summary of the services we do offer. And we represent people in several counties, from Hudson and Columbia in the south to Washington and Warren in the north to Montgomery and Fulton in the west, including Rensselaer, of course, Albany and Schenectady. Our services are provided at no cost because we're funded, or we have been funded through the past. We're part of the coalition that Ms. Peterson is with. We do receive funding through, initially through the Attorney General's office, and now through the state of New York. So that's how we can provide these services to homeowners throughout the area. We also provide, or sponsor several clinics that we run, 2 or 3 every month, I believe, and for people who want to have a free consultation with an attorney in any area of the law. If you're looking to buy a home, you might want to speak with a real estate attorney. If you're looking for a will, an attorney who does that type of work, bankruptcy, and so forth. But I and my agency, we're a small agency. We have about 10 attorneys who provide services in all these areas. I do foreclosure prevention work with one other attorney in our office. And that's what we're here about today, just to talk about the basics of the foreclosure process in New York State. This differs from state to state. So our state is a judicial state, and there are many laws, both federal and state laws, to protect the consumers and the homeowners, with the goal of helping people who want to stay in their homes be able to stay in their homes. Again, it stabilizes communities. It's to everybody's benefit. So we'll talk a little bit about the process. I do have a flow chart that I have, will be up on the website, and I have some with me if anybody's interested. It is prepared by the courts, the U.S. court, the New York State courts, I'm sorry. And it just shows the whole process that you go through if you get entangled in a foreclosure action in New York State. But I'd like to mention, again, before that foreclosure action starts, you may be able to take some. I want to just discuss the basic documents that are involved in that when you buy a home and you go to ABC Bank or lender and you borrow XYZ dollars to purchase your home. You will sign the 2 important documents are the note and the mortgage. And the note says, I owe ABC Bank XYZ dollars, and I will pay so much a month at such and such an interest rate for usually 30 years until that loan is paid. And then you enter into a mortgage contract with the lender that says, I am assigning you any ownership interest I have in that property as collateral for the repayment of that note. So that's where the bank gets its interest in the property, and when it forecloses, it's foreclosing on that collateral interest that you've assigned to the bank if you default in your payments. So let's talk about the foreclosure process itself in New York. First of all, the first thing that's going to happen, of course, is and it happens to all of us, we have a problem, maybe financial, maybe there's family emergency, anything can happen, illness, sickness, all those things can all create havoc in our financial situations. And the first thing that might happen is I just can't make my mortgage payment this month. The best advice I can give on that is if you know you're going to miss a mortgage payment, contact your lender or the servicer. Let me back up 1 minute. When you take out your initial loan to buy your house, which is called a purchase money mortgage, you probably have a mortgage broker, you go to ABC Bank and they sign the documents and that's who your contract is with. But 99% of the time that loan is going to get sold to another company. So you're going to be dealing with a different mortgage company, and that mortgage company is going to hire a contractor who services the loan, takes care of the accounts, handles the payments, and that's who will send you notices. So the best thing to do is if you know you can't make a payment is call them up and say, hey, I'm having a problem. Can you help me? Can I defer this payment? Can I pay it out over the next 3 months with my regular payment when maybe I'm laid off for a month and I'm going to be back in shape? But let them know, and depending on the servicer, you might get some consideration, but at least you're making an effort and you're not just ignoring it. But say you can't make that mortgage payment and you miss 2 or 3 payments, you're not able to work out anything with the lender. The lender in New York State, then, before they can start their foreclosure action, they have to send you what is called a 90-day pre-foreclosure notice. So they have to send you this notice, which says, in large print, you are X number of days behind in your loan. You owe X number of dollars, and you can pay it by X date, usually within 30 days. If you don't pay this by the date specified, we can then begin a foreclosure action to try and collect our collateral to satisfy the loan. Again, once you get that 90-day notice, and of course we all do it, I don't want the bad news, I don't want to read it, I'm going to file it over here and maybe I'll get lucky and it'll go away. The better thing to do again is to contact the servicer, number one, and say, hey, I have the notice, I want to try and make arrangements again for these payments. And there's a variety of ways it can happen. You know, you can defer it, you can make payment arrangements to pay it in incremental amounts over the next few months. The other thing I suggest is that you contact an agency like Affordable Housing Partnership, who Ms. Peterson represents, or one of the other agencies that is in the area. They can give you advice, they can possibly intervene for you on your behalf with that servicer, and may have a better chance of working out a repayment arrangement than you yourself will. Oftentimes the servicers are kind of brusque with the homeowners, and they aren't always that user-friendly. But if you work with one of the housing agencies here, they're trained to deal with the lenders, and they know what to ask for and what to present. So that's the first thing that you should do, is get advice and see if you can work something out and forestall the foreclosure action actually being commenced. But if you're not able to do that, and it happens to everybody, you just can't, whatever the circumstances are, and the foreclosure action gets started by ABC Bank. They start that action by preparing a summons and complaint and filing it with the local county clerk's office, whichever county the real property is located in, and they have to serve that summons and complaint on the homeowner. I'm going to back up again for a minute. The 90-day pre-foreclosure notice that I mentioned is a requirement that the banks provide. If they don't give you that notice, give the homeowner that notice, and if they don't send it to the homeowner in the proper manner, which is by certified mail and by regular mail, they are not legally able to start a foreclosure action. That doesn't mean they don't sometimes do it. But that's a legal requirement. So when I serve that summons and complaint, again, if you haven't talked to anybody, contact one of the housing agencies to get assistance with, again, trying to work out option, one of the options to save your home if that's what you want. And as Ms. Peterson mentioned, there's retention options, there's a forbearance option right now, modification, deferral of some of the principal balance to the back end of the loan. Most often what we see are the modifications where some term of the mortgage loan is modified. As was explained earlier, the terms extended, the interest rates reduced, or a portion of the principal is deferred to the end of the loan. And that way you get to keep that's if you want to keep your home. Now there are people who get into foreclosure circumstances for other reasons and they decide they don't want to keep the home. They can't afford it. Maybe they're relocating, maybe they just want to let it go. And again, contact the housing agency for advice. That doesn't cost you a penny and they can save you a world of aggravation. But when you get the summons and complaint, in addition to the housing counselor, please contact one of the legal services agencies. Either our agency, the Legal Project, or the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York in this area. Once you are served that summons and complaint, you have 20 to 30 days to answer it and protect your rights. You may have defenses to the legal action. Maybe they didn't serve the 90-day pre-foreclosure notice. You may not be aware of some of the defenses. That's why you need to contact somebody in legal services to review that document and review the circumstances with you to see if you do have legal defenses or maybe even counterclaims against the bank. Maybe they didn't apply your payments correctly. They didn't give you notices. Maybe they sold your loan to somebody and didn't tell you about it. So this is where the legal services come in and the housing services come in. Housing services can deal directly with the lender or the lender's servicer. Legal services deal with the attorneys for the lender. So it's important to get the legal representation, because if you don't respond to that summons and complaint, you will have one more opportunity, the homeowner I should say, will have one more opportunity, but the homeowner can be held in default and it can expedite the foreclosure process, which if you want to save your home, you don't want to do that. You want to resolve it, hopefully. So once you get the summons and complaint and the time has expired for you to answer and you haven't answered, if it's your home, you reside in it, you occupy it, you are now going to get a notice from the court scheduling a conference, what is called a mandatory settlement conference. These conferences are also critical. The New York State law enacted this conference process to protect the homeowner. If you go and attend that first conference and you haven't submitted an answer to the complaint, you will now get an additional 30 days to do so. So you have another bite of the apple to protect your rights in your home. And if the homeowner wants to keep the home, it's important. And again, that settlement conference process is for the purpose of the lender or representative for the lender, usually their attorneys, and your attorney to try, or the homeowner directly, to try and work out a reasonable solution to the foreclosure litigation and get the litigation dismissed and get the homeowner back on track with their mortgage and have a mortgage in good standing. That mandatory settlement conference process in our area, most of the attorneys, the court attorneys who handle and monitor those conferences, are very understanding of the homeowner's situations and things that have, especially with this past year and the pandemic. The circumstances that homeowners unavoidably sometimes end up in foreclosure. Nobody wants to just let their house go in foreclosure. It happens though. And so the court attorneys will help monitor that and say, hey, homeowner, they'll say to the bank attorneys, this homeowner is making an effort. They have a job, they filed for disability, they're going to have income, but whatever the circumstances are, you need to give them an opportunity and try to work with them. And again, if the lender or the representative does not work with you in a fair and reasonable manner and make a good faith effort to resolve the situation so the homeowner can save their home, it is another defense to the legal action. and can be a claim against the bank. So I think the main thing there is the bank is not always right no matter what they tell you. So to get advice from homeowners, the HUD advisors, and legal, because the bank can tell you things and you'll say, and we've seen this happen numerous times, we're gonna foreclose on your home, you're gonna lose it, that's it, and people move out. Absolutely no need to. Remember, the homeowner owns that home until that foreclosure auction takes place, and in New York State, it's up to a 3-year process. So when the lender or their servicer says, you need to move because we're taking your house, that is not usually the case. We've had to tell clients, you can move back into the house, you own it. The deed hasn't been transferred, there's been no foreclosure sale. You have every right to live there. The property belongs to the homeowner who is on the deed. I really was not going to go beyond the mandatory settlement conference process because that's where you're going to do make most of your effort to resolve the action. But you can resolve the foreclosure action right up until the day they have that foreclosure sale. So again, don't ever think it's too late. Some people, what happens after the conference period ends or the case is removed from the settlement conference by the court attorney and is now sent to the judge who handles the file. Now the judge will be saying to the banks, okay, you can file a motion, you can try to get authority to have a referee appointed to sell the property. The plaintiff has to do several legal steps to get to that point, and you still have, throughout that whole process, every right to try and resolve the issue, if that's how you wish to do it. Even if you don't want to keep it, you may want to try for, as Ms. Peterson said, a cash for keys. Okay, bank, I'll agree to the foreclosure sale. You pay me a few $1,000 and maybe we'll call it quits and that's the end of it. But maybe there's something that can be done to help you in your situation. So even if you don't know, you ignore the action until you get a motion from the court. Don't think it's too late. It's not too late. You should always contact housing or legal. If you contact housing, they'll refer you to legal. If you contact legal, we'll refer you to housing, and we all work together to try and help the homeowner save their home. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to present to you today. Just to emphasize, in the beginning stages, contact your lender or your servicer and try to work something out with them. When you start getting notices, don't ignore them. Contact housing advisors or legal services to get help as soon as possible. The sooner we can get involved, the likelier it is we'll have a successful outcome, and more quickly. So I guess that's my words of advice for the day. It's much better to do it with professional assistance than to try and do it on your own. You're much more likely to have success. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you then.